My name is Ben Rupert, and I'm with the City of Reno Fire Department, and I'm currently assigned to Engine 16 or Station 16 out here at East Lake.
And you were on the Washoe Fire, the Washoe Drive Fire. Can you kind of set the scene for the day?
Yeah, that day we knew that we were going to have some problems as far as the wind goes. We didn't know that we were going to obviously have a catastrophic fire that we had, but we had just recently gone on a semi that was blown over on Old 395. Over by just south of Bowers Mansion area. And while we were there and we were helping family, there was a family that was there that was in the semi when it blew over, and their vehicle wasn't, or their semi wasn't loaded at the time, but still just the winds caused that semi to flip over. You could see the actual start of the fire. You could see the location of it, and you could see that the structures were an immediate threat to the area. So we were ahead of the curve, because once we saw that, we all ran out to the engine. Our captain had said, we're taking the structure engine, and we're also wearing structure gear, because we assumed that this fire was going to be immediately on top of structures, which it was.
So Ben, you've been fighting fires for quite a while, and you said that this was the worst fire you've ever been on. Can you explain why?
The reason, and I went on the Collin Ranch fire too. The reason why I say that this was worse than the Collin Ranch fire is because when you get out here in the rural area, you don't have all those, they call them CCNRs, is that correct?
Yeah.
You don't have all the CCNRs that allow you to have, like out here, you can have your boat, you can have your RV out here, you can have sheds, you can have livestock, which obviously can cause problems there too. So you typically have a lot of these areas out here are 1 acre lots, and so you'll have brush that grows in there, and then you have all this additional fields. What I mean by fields is all the different structures and outbuildings that you have along there with it, equipment, things that you wouldn't normally have in downtown city of Reno that you have out here. And then in addition to that is that this is an area out here where we predominantly get winds that are a lot stronger than you see in town. Now, granted that the Collin Ranch fire, you had a very significant wind event there, but when you add in the wind event that we had here that day, you add in the types of fields that can build up around here, and then you add in all the additional outbuildings that you have, it creates a situation that we came across where your complexity of fire could be a lot worse than what you'd have in downtown Reno or the city limit area.
And you spent a good chunk of your time on the fire protecting structures and fighting away fire from those structures. Would you say that the way those homes were constructed and the defensible space or lack of around that made your job more difficult?
And that's a very good point. I believe that the intent, and I've been working with Ed Smith for a long time with Living with Fire, is always preaching defensible space, making sure that you don't have the wood shake roofs, getting rid of the junipers, having enough clearance around your house, and they were there. It was every bit there. Even though we have types of materials that you can put around your structure, such as cottonwood trees, different types of deciduous type trees that normally don't burn. But the problem that we had on this fire, in addition to those type of fire problems that you could encounter on a fire ground, such as the wood shake roofs and the junipers and the field oil around the house, is that trees that we normally think that are safe trees were extremely flammable on this incident here, because we had such a long period that we didn't have any moisture at all, and so and those trees and all the different plants that were normally protective around the house all of a sudden became a flashy type field because they didn't have any moisture content in there. And so what we noticed is that we had cottonwood trees that were burned on the top. When they would break off, you would have all the embers that were blown across, and sometimes these embers were blown 30, 40 yards away from the tree that was on fire, and it was raining all those burning embers on top of the structures. And so you look around at the types of homes that we had out there that burned down. You could see a wood shake house, and didn't burn down, but you can see the heat that it took, and you can see some of the wood shake that burned on it. And then you'll have a stucco home with a tile type roof on it that burned down. And this fire here, that's what made it so complex out there, is that even if you had the defensible space out there, areas that I would have never ever thought would have a problem with a wildland fire became immediate danger because of the winds that we had in there. And just, you had the fire just burn across grasses. The fire right behind me came across in between Washoe Lake and Little Washoe, and it went through all the willows there. It went through that riparian area, and it just came right straight across, spotted across, and slicked off that area there. So this fire situation was just, I mean, it was the perfect firestorm type situation that we really, I mean, you do everything you can to prepare for these wildland fires, and I know this community is, and with the Living with Fire, has done such an excellent job of preparing your home or getting your home prepared in case that you have a wildland fire that comes in the area. But this situation was just absolutely extreme, and we had things that were catching on fire that we would normally not see catch on fire, and then you add into it, this is January. People normally that have been burning ashes in a fireplace, or you know, that they haven't run their sprinklers around their house for a long time, and then all it takes is just one little fire start out there, and it's off and running, especially when you have these significant wind events that come in. Collin Ranch was one like that. The Sedge Fire down in Carson City was another example. You look at all these catastrophic fires that we've had over the last 10 years, and they're pretty much every one of them has been associated with an extreme wind event that has come in to add to it. So that is definitely a situation that we really, and I know the community understands wind and how that can add to the problem of a wildland fire. But when you don't have any moisture out there and you have an 80-mile-an-hour wind and you get a fire start out there, you're going to have you have the potential for a catastrophic event like we had here.
And we all understand that, you know, surviving a wildfire takes a community of people, including firefighters like yourselves. And do you have anything you'd like to recommend or suggest to homeowners in this area that they can do to help you do your job better?
Absolutely. The one thing that kept on coming back after us and after us again is just like everything that we preach about as far as making sure that you have defensible space. We had areas out there, if you throw out the cottonwoods and the deciduous trees and the things that are normally safe to have around your house, and not looking at that because this was definitely a different situation, but the junipers, we still ran into a tremendous amount of homes that still had junipers, and especially these junipers that are next to the house or are right next to the eave of the pitch of your roof right there. That is one of the quickest ways that you can add a fire right into there. So my suggestion would be to, if there's any way possible, to get, they have that program called Junk a Juniper, but I would just say if there's any way that you can get those junipers away from your house, and then please keep in mind too that even if your juniper is in a defensible space away from your house, it can add to not only the fire problem for your house, but it can also cause problems for your neighbor too. And so I would recommend getting as much as you can. And this brush that you see right behind me that is 5 and 6 feet tall, you add that into this situation too. Even though you have defensible space, that's another problem that you can add to the complexity of the fire.